Hey guys, my name is The Nobody, and welcome to the 4th episode of our Reddit series, Ask Reddit. Now let's get right into the video.
Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? My former boss was worried that the island of Manhattan would sink with all the extra visitors for New Year's and the ball dropping. She thought islands floated, and when she found out that wasn't true, she thought it was so funny that she told everyone the story. She was later fired for withholding a pay raise from someone on her team because he didn't accept her sexual advances. He had the texts to prove it. I was working retail at the time, and this lady walks in and asks me to tell her when it is 10:15 a.m. she needs to catch a bus. We were slow, so I oblige. 10:15 a.m. rolls around and I tell her, so she drops her stuff and runs out to get the bus. 5 minutes later she comes back, it's scowling. And she then lectures me on how to tell time. How much is a quarter? 25 cents. So why would you tell me a quarter after 10 a is 10:15 a? It's 10:25 am. I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms, but she insisted it wasn't. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kilograms, that it finally twigged that these two small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. My coworker was feeling lethargic, bloated, and had stopped menstruating. We told her she was probably pregnant. She decided on her own that she was anemic and started eating a dozen raw eggs every day. She had a full-term baby 5 months later. He had just purchased a new high-powered BB gun. We had just finished shooting it in the backyard when he points the barrel at my face and pulls the trigger several times. I tell him to stop being an idiot and he just laughs and says it's not loaded. Then the moron puts the barrel in his mouth and pop shoots a BB right through his tongue and into his uvula. One time my now ex-girlfriend was watching Maury Povich, one of those paternity test episodes with the classic "you are not the father" moment, and she turns to me and says, if we ever have a baby and I found out I'm not the mother, I'll kill you. Thankfully we didn't end up reproducing. When I was in the Air Force I was the lead trainer / certifier in my unit. When a new person would show up, I'd watch them do the job, answer any out of the ordinary questions, etc. And when I felt they were ready, I'd sign off saying they were qualified. This all happened after they finished a 6-week school learning the job. The 73 troops I trained took on average 3 days to complete this phase. Then there was that one guy. I took him under my wing, non-stop for an entire month. He'd mess something up one day, and we'd correct it. No big deal. The next, he'd get it right, but get something else wrong. Then on the following day, mess up on the first thing we had corrected. Bear in mind that he has a step-by-step checklist in his hand that lists everything to do and in what order to do it. After a month of this, I figured there was nothing I could do for him. Maybe it was my teaching method, so I handed him over to my supervisor. They spent another 3 weeks together until he was finally certified. A month and a half to learn what should have taken 3 days. Personally I really liked the guy, had a good heart, didn't give up after the setbacks, and probably the funniest non-comedian I've ever met. He was just a bit dense when it came to the job. The job was refueling jets, which is really about 2 degrees harder than filling your car. A chimp could do it, and probably learn in less time. Miss Yabuddy, hope you're still doing well. A friend of mine is a sweet guy, but is overweight and balding and quite frankly, not very attractive in the face. Well, one day he lets us know that he has met a girl and she might be the one. He's in his late 20s for reference. Well, I've met some of the jewels he's hooked up with in the past, so I wasn't expecting too much. Finally meet this girl, and she is drop dead gorgeous and has a body that is incredible. I talked to her for a while, and she is super friendly and outgoing. I'm stoked for my boy. He found the best he's ever gonna find. Anyway, the night progresses, and the new couple starts talking about their plans for an upcoming trip to New Mexico, and she starts telling us how excited she is, because she has never gone to another country before. I laughed a bit, and realized she was dead serious. My friend just looked at me, and shook his head, and I knew that he knew. She was dumb as a fucking rock, but she was his dumb fucking rock. FWIW, he helped her get her passport. This dude I worked with for 3 days. He was hired to be a fabricator, which is mostly cutting metal and welding stuff up. He claimed to have welded for many years, which we very quickly realized was an embellishment. Within his first 2 days he got into a heated verbal argument with a co-worker that advised him to not smoke cigarettes in the shop right next to multiple tanks of incredibly flammable gases. Told our manager to fuck off and let him do his job. Manager was trying to tell him what to do, started a decently large fire because he didn't clean the floor underneath where he was welding. And then started yelling at people trying to tell him there's a fire. Smoking blunts on the job with no attempts to be discreet. By some miracle he managed to ruin a welder and 2 grinders beyond repair. And on top of all this, he had this smug I'm better than everyone else attitude. He was promptly fired on the 3rd day and had the audacity to argue with management about it before storming out and flooring it out of the parking lot, running down the shop's mailbox. A month after all this, we were contacted by a customer about their dump truck that he had done the welding on. While on a job site emptying the contents of its dump bed, the welds broke and the entire dump bed fell off, causing damage to the truck and another vehicle of his. Had to be upwards of $75,000 in damages. A girl in my art class in high school thought there was just a part of the cow called meat. When we explained meat is the muscles, she freaked out and became vegetarian. A girl in my class in middle school genuinely thought people had landed on the sun. Her explanation for this belief was to insist that the moon and sun are made of the same stuff. Few years ago in Australia, Coke changed their bottle to be a bit narrower and taller to suit less plastic. Both bottles were 600 milliliters. Girl in my class at uni adamant that the change wasn't to reduce plastic, but so they could put less Coke in to save money. I know they are both 600 milliliters, but the new one has less Coke in it. My wife wanted to meet an old friend from school she hadn't seen for about 20 years. We went to dinner, and he brought his wife who he met 2 months ago, who was a male entertainer, and her 2 kids. He was white, she was black, and he spent the whole night trying to start crap with people for making racist comments about their relationship behind their back they weren't. When we finally got into talking, he told me about 9 jump points that exist to get off the earth. I thought to myself, oh boy, a flat earther. I've never met a real one before. But no, that's not what he was talking about. That would have been so much better than what he was talking about. He said there are 9 jump points on Earth that are essentially wormholes to other planets, and that there is one in New York City that goes to Mars, and that the American government has already colonized Mars and is hiding it from the people. And he was dead serious. I currently work with this person. Didn't know detergent existed other than Tide. Was washing her clothes with Downy and was wondering why stains weren't coming out. Made illegal right turn from left lane in front of 2 different coworkers at different times. At the age of 20 had already totaled 7 cars. Got customer complaint that she was constantly on phone and tried to hide it when manager was near. Left a nasty lint roller on the counter covered in fake hair. I hate fish. I've never had fish other than fish sticks. Asked how old I am, the next day asked if I was alive in the 90s. Doesn't know an address or what city she lives in. Didn't believe me that California has snow. Described how she made tacos once and she put water in it and it turned into meat soup. Customer said they lived in the boondocks. She handed a post-it to coworker that said, why do people here live in the boombox? Australia is part of the United States. She got that and Alaska confused somehow. Thought Hattian was half Asian, half black. Coworker brought in a cake and he told new girl he made it. She believed him despite the price tag and retail packaging. These are all things she said to me, or within earshot of me. I wish I were making this up. A girl in my sophomore year of high school who thought there were 6 months in a year. She was really nice, but very surprised and confused when we tried to set her right. The smart doggo says hello to you. Subscribe to my Tinder, follow my Discord, and like my Gmail to get the smarts and good grades. PS actually out of likes and subs would be amazing and keep you up to date on more videos if you use the bell.